Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Dungeon the Mad Mage, Session 12. That ended at a pretty opportune time. So, it has been a week since we have last played Dungeons of Dragons. It has been a week since we have been in the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And we're running a little bit late, so we're just gonna jump right into things. So, let's start everything off with a recap. Previously on Dungeon of the Mad Mage. After having defeated the Grick Alpha, the party decided to investigate the Minotaur mummy and upside-down throne on the ceiling. Matashtai and Bones headed up and found themselves affected by a reverse gravity enchantment. While inspecting the throne, they found a seam, leading them to believe that something was hidden. Bones further found that the jewels held in the eyes of the Minotaur were actually attached to a mount connected to the throne. Upon prying the zircon free, the reverse gravity effect vanished, and Bones and Matashtai, along with the mummy enthroned, were sent tumbling down to the floor. Fortunately, the party avoided any major injury, and within the remnants of the now shattered throne, they found a small treasure hoard, including quite a bit of coin, a number of gems, and an alabaster robe covered in depictions of various items. The party gathered their spoils, as well as the Grick Alpha beak, and decided to head out of the dungeon for the day, after stopping by to meet with Artor. Their travel was relatively uneventful on the way back, and once they arrived at the Bone Throne, Ashes summoned Artor Morlin forth. The vampire seemed to have been in the middle of something, but took your audience nonetheless. He seemed impressed and pleased that the party had hunted the Grick down so swiftly, but still seemed perturbed by what he interpreted as a lack of care for the consequences of the party's actions. Artor also continued to insist that the party had no reason to consider him an enemy. Afterwards, the party headed back to the entrance, out and up into the yawning portal, where their arrival was met with relative applause, smiles, a round of drinks being purchased for them, etc. The party spent some time afterwards with Obaya, identifying items, and then headed to Pirgaron's palace to visit the exchequer, exchange money, basically exchange a lot of the coin that you guys had been getting for higher denominations, basically. And afterwards, the party headed home to the Lifted Spirits, and after a short conversation with Fala, spoke with Anastas, who had found a healing item that the party might be interested in purchasing. Anastas suggested that the party meet with the owner of the item, an odd dwarven mage named Kariya Stone-Marrow, who is always seen with her shield guardian. After resting for the evening, the party decided that they would spend the day tending to business in Waterdeep rather than heading back into the dungeon. Bones and Ezrah have headed out into the city to tend to errands, while Ashes and Matashtai have busied themselves around the manor, mostly in Ashes' situation, doing probably research, and Matashtai doing research just of a different type, right? Painting. So, Okuriya has shown up, and a conversation has begun between Matashtai, Ashes, and the Dwarven Mage, and she has just revealed that she previously owned Skull Skull Manor, and that is where we left off. So, go ahead and kick this over. Just a little bit of basic music. So something's going on in the background. Alright. So that is where we find ourselves at the moment. Who wants to start things off? Do we want to pick back up the conversation with Olkuria and see where that leads?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So this short, actually she's relatively tall for a dwarf, right? But short for a human. So this short older woman, with kind of haggard skin, and she's got this kind of beaded up scarf that is pretty tight around her neck, right? Kind of a shawl type situation. She's sitting on this bar stool in a very commanding way, right? Like she owns the place. She knows everything about it, right? And she has just told the two of you, Ashes and Matashtai, that many years ago, she owned Troll Skull Manor. And she just kind of like lets that sit in the air. And off to the side, probably about 15 or so feet away, Sine is on the corner of the bar, right? Looks like he's leafing through a ledger or something, and he kind of pauses, right? And his head snaps up slightly when she mentions this, and you see him kind of narrow his eyes. Right? Okay. And he says, he kind of like clears his throat, not wishing to interrupt the two of you, right? And he says, don't pardon my intrusion, but how long ago did you own the place? And you see old Kariya kind of smile, like knowingly at him, and then she gets kind of the smile turns upside down, right? And she suddenly gets this very dour look on her. She says, "Ah, so you know a bit of the history." Well,
what history?
Just to ease your fears, boy. And she says this to Sine, right? Not to you guys. And Sine is this... Sine is in no way, shape, form, or fashion a boy, right? Mm-hmm. But she says... it's been several years. And Sine doesn't really take this answer as like, oh, okay, right? This doesn't clear up the issue with him, and he just kind of, his eyes narrow again, and she kind of sighs and she says, it's been over 2 decades. I used to own the manor, and like this, kind of gestures around, it was a tavern. I sold it to a family of shield dwarves who had, well, were having a rough time of it. Needed something to keep them going. That worked for a while. And then years got a little lean. Business the south turn. So they sold the property. Can't blame them. Fully justified. Theirs. The lady they sold it to turned it into an orphanage. Good place. Except it turned out to be a hag who was cooking and eating the children.
Damn, cooking and eating.
Well, at least she was what she cooked.
But you seem to know lived here. Does...
Oh, well, after this came to light, the hag was dealt with. And the estate got passed around a few more times over the years, but never really turned into anything until now. I've, well, always had a bit of a soft spot for the place itself. Is where I... Anyways. So I've kept an eye on it. Make it my business to know who's in business. And, well, your spirit friend here, not unfamiliar to me. Before he was, what he is now.
Did you know him when he was alive?
Yes. Not intimately, but I did know of him. As much as patron knows a bartender. And she kind of like, she says that, right? And then she takes like 2 fingers and she just double taps on the counter, and Lift is there, pouring more brandy into her glass, right? So as much as she says that, right, they seem especially comfortable with one another.
So, aside from the history, is there any, like, secrets? Like, physical secrets within the manor?
Physical secrets within the manor? Well...
Like a hidden room, or...
I would say...
Dungeons beneath.
She kind of turns and looks at you, Matashtai. I would say if you plan on expanding your larder, make sure you go into it with an open mind. There used to be an extensive basement, but, well, that's where the hag was doing most of her dirty work, and there was a fire. A good portion of that didn't quite make it through. The building's structurally sound. No worries about that.
Well, we honest,
had
had
it
no intentions of looking through an old basement with a bunch of dead kids in it.
She kind of nods understandingly. She's just like, yeah, makes sense.
Does anybody know about the whereabouts of the hag? Whatever happened of her?
Oh,
I
well,
think she mentioned she got taken care of.
she suffered a particularly just fate.
You saying she got cooked and eaten?
Well, one of the group that dealt with her happened to be a bit of a demonologist. I don't know if there was much cooking involved, but to my understanding. Oh no, not by the demonologist itself, by what they summoned.
Oh, okay. Let's,
Very creative.
it's good, I suppose.
Ancient history. And Sine's just been listening this entire time, and his eyes are still slightly narrowed, right? But he's just kind of like nodding along at this point. And then he goes back to writing in his ledger. but he keeps on like looking up every now and then, clearly now involved in the conversation.
Well, what do you think of the place?
She looks over at the mantle, right at the actual troll skull, and she says, "Well, ain't got rid of that thing, so that's a plus. You know, the hag kept it up. Don't know why. Really fit the whole ensemble of an orphanage.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't move
Is
it.
it called Troll Skull Orphanage?
It was.
Seems a bit macabre for a orphanage.
Well, I mean, in hindsight, it was
Very macabre.
the name of the alley. We never really questioned it originally. So, you folks, you're hard-working, salt of the earth types. Make your money
work the
with
field of my
honest
day.
labor. See, your little friend, snooping as they were, well, I believe they overheard me discussing some business with an associate of mine.
What little friend you talking about?
That one of yours that performs and changes their
Analysis.
face.
Oh. And what do you want us to do about it?
Oh, I don't want you to do anything, but I mean, I had assumed that you don't just come and talk to every patron that comes in your establishment. I assumed you were coming to talk to me for a reason.
I look at Ashes.
I don't know. Like, we're not here all that much, so when we're actually spending time here, it's not.
Sure. Are you
did
guys
make a bit of an entrance?
sure. Are you guys playing coy, or do you two legit?
Oh no,
I
that's
have no idea what she's talking about.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay. So this is one of the
I see that you're
conversations.
dropping hints.
This
I
is
ain't
one of the
picking up on.
conversations that Anastas was having with you guys at the end of last session. You guys had asked for them to look into finding some healing
is this the
items.
lady with the Healy thing?
This is the lady with the Healy thing.
Got it.
This is
Okay.
the lady with the
Alright.
Healy thing. Yeah, no, just
Not
random
put that together,
random
thank you.
NPC that I'm just. I mean, actually, you know, random NPC.
I was
That's a
fine
lot
with
of
it.
backstory. By all means, sure. But no, this is Kariya Stone-Marrow, the mage
point,
that
Matt
potentially
goes-
has a.
Matt goes, you're that old Kariya.
Kind of looks around. Just says,
I look at Ashes and I go,
"Are there more of me that I don't know about?"
No.
common name rock.
We're actually, we might not be quick on the draw.
She just
We've been,
raises this eyebrow that's like half pockmarked and you can tell has been seared away multiple times, right?
Mhm.
Like it's half like does a lot of it doesn't take to regrowing because the skin's been scarred repeatedly.
Mhm.
Says, well, you were saying.
We heard you had an item. that could help us do the healing magic.
I got a particularly religious friend amongst your group.
We do not.
Well, I'm pretty religious.
You are?
Especially in touch with your god there, I suppose?
Ashes, did you forget I'm on a pilgrimage from the order of my god?
Yeah, I guess I don't really know about what entails in pilgrimages and whatnot.
Huh.
As far as my order goes, it's just you go out and kind of kill bad shit. That's about it.
Now, if your question is, do I have powers associated with said god? No.
Ah. Understood. Yes, I have a staff that has a limited capability for healing. It's don't get me wrong, it's handy in a pinch. And it'll definitely see you through some rough times, but it only has so much juice that it can use in at any given time.
Does it find a way to replenish said magics?
Oh yeah. As long as you don't overdo it, it'll charge itself back up.
How much you looking for it?
Oh well, I was already looking to sell it. What your friend overheard, and currently the bid is for 9,000 dragons.
One moment. I lean in with Ashes. I don't have that kind of money.
I just spent it all on potions. Like, legitimately, I have...
Will you take payment in installments?
She smiles at you and she says, "Oh well, you see, I've run into a little bit of an issue in between securing the said sale. So, you young, strapping lads would
Fucking
be
Ashes.
willing to assist me in taking care of said issue, well, I would consider that a real favor and knock off a goodly portion of the price."
What are you looking for?
She kind of like looks at you and smiles, and she reaches over and grabs her little glass of brandy that's at this point, because she's sipping, fairly consistently. At this point, it's maybe like half full, and she just knocks it back the rest of the way, pops it back on the counter, and then she reaches into a pouch and places down a couple of silver pieces. Right? And then she hops off the stool and kind of struts over to the front door, and she looks back and she kind of like waves you over.
We'll go.
I look at Ashes. All right.
Yeah.
I down my drink.
Okay. So she walks out the front door, which is kind of almost saloon style, right? They're bigger, they cover the entire frame, but they are these just like push doors that open, right? And she walks out onto the front porch of the Lifted Spirits, and she waits for you to come out behind her. And when you do, she looks over. So the front of the Lifted Spirits has this front porch, right, that partially wraps around the side of the building, and then it has this kind of plot of earth just before the stone street, the alley itself, right? And the alley is not entirely stone. It's not entirely paved, right? There's a little inlet off of the main road that is stone, and that's kind of where you guys' front porch is, right? But then the rest of it kind of fades, and then most of the alley is dirt, and then there's little sections that have clearly been paved previously, etc., right? So it's kind of a cobbled together situation. But this little plot of earth out in front, sometimes it gets used for things, right? Growing flowers or herbs or things like that. It's the end of fall at this point, so it's not really being used for anything. And you see, Kariya kind of points over to it, right? And you see there are these two immense footprints that have kind of just been made in the kind of hard-packed mud of this little plot of earth in front of the tavern, right? And I mean, they're easily 2 or 3 times the size of your footprints. Okay? And so she points over there, and you see this. It looks like someone has been standing there for a long time, right? Or someone someone extremely heavy has stood there repeatedly.
Barefoot or sold?
It looks like there's some sort of soul, but it doesn't match the way like a shoe would, right? It's very cylindrical. It's weird. She as she sees you looking, right, and she says, kind of smiles, and she says, "Trying to figure it out, huh?" And then she raises her arm, and her sleeve falls away, right?
She's a siren?
And she's a siren, right?
Alright.
She's the 5th siren.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
She raises her arm, the sleeve falls away, and she's wearing this kind of bracer. This metallic bracer on her forearm, right? And she kind of taps it. And she says, "This is my control bracelet for my shield guardian. See, it normally stands right there while I have a drink. A bit big to bring into the tavern, cause some issues. I leave it outside. Let it just rest and take in the atmosphere."
Does it get tired?
No. Just,
well,
don't want it to break shit. No. It's just
nice.
Enchanted. I just, look, I spend a lot of time on my own, so I like to think that it is my buddy, but really, it's just magic on a hunk of metal.
I'm sure it cares about you.
Well, you see, I like to think so. I do. But well, it's nights like last night that make me question that. See, He's a little old, and I've had it for quite some time. It occasionally needs a little bit of a tune-up. Sometimes the enchantment doesn't quite work the way it's supposed to. And, well, I was fixing it last night, and it decided it didn't want fixing no more.
So you're telling me there's a giant...
You saying it attacked you?
Well, it became pretty aggressive and started throwing stuff around the lab, and then it kind of came at me, and I decided I wouldn't have none of that. So it's now locked in my lab.
Oh, so you... Alright, so you know where it is, at least.
Oh, yes. Unless it... Ooh. Wait.
Well...
No.
Definitely still in the lab, right?
It's definitely still in the lab. Definitely.
Right?
110%.
I think I'm getting the gist of what you're looking for us to do.
Well, s- very specifically, I do not want it destroyed. It just needs to be put out of commission, so it can't be a threat while I properly fix the enchantment. And I would do it myself, but I mean, I'm getting up on in them years, and I'd probably do it just fine. But who wants to risk a broken bone when there's such fine lads like you around to help?
I'm assuming dispel magic, trying to dispel the enchantment would count as destroying it. Yes.
That would probably ruin things. Yes, we can't go about that.
I'm assuming it's got some sort of power core, similar to the airships we use.
Wait, you use airships?
It does.
Ashes. Told you that's how I got here.
Wait, what are these airships you speak of?
Well, from what you described, it just sounded like a room that fell from the sky.
All right, but which one sounds more bizarre at that point?
Look, this is beside the point. Anyway,
So there's Okuria will say, there are a couple ways you could probably go about doing this, but realistically, you can just beat it into submission. If you smack it around enough, it kind of has a limited willpower, so to speak. You're probably not gonna hurt it too terribly much physically, right? But if you smack it around enough, the magic starts to go a little, and it'll eventually lose its cohesion and power down. I just need you to do that for me, and then I can come in and fix the enchantment while it's unconscious.
So, mechanically speaking, as long as we specify non-lethal damage, we can fight it.
You guys don't even have to specify non-lethal damage. As long as you're not doing something that's going to actually fuck with the physical, like, it's a big suit of armor, right? As long as you're not, like, blowtorch, you know? Like, as long as you're not doing that, as long as it's just beating it into physical submission, you're probably fine. So Ezrah might have to worry about what he does, but the rest of you are probably not gonna have too many issues.
Let's see.
But Okuria will say, so I know where it is. I know what needs done. I just need some strong backs to do it. And it is a little bit urgent. Like I said, I can get it taken care of, but I don't want him trapped in there too terribly long on its own, because then, well, there's some valuable stuff in there. I'd rather it not break those. So, I'm willing to shave off a mighty large sum from this staff for trade. Let's say in the realm of a half price.
That's a deal I can agree to.
You know what? We've got a lot of downtime before we're going back into the dungeon anyway, so fuck it.
All right. Well, forgive me, but it's not just the two of you boys, is it?
We have two others.
Oh, you don't think we're not?
Well, I just think it's probably best to make certain you have things covered, right?
You betcha.
Well,
we'll get our friends to join us.
This evening, what I'm assuming this is, what time is it right now?
It's morning.
Morning.
Mid-morning.
Right. So if we say that, like, you know, Meta Pigeon, hey, if we wanted to get together at evening to do this, would our other two people be ready?
Hey, you should probably actually just send a messenger.
Okay, yeah. All right. Well, let's plan to meet at your place this evening. Where would that be exactly?
Oh, well, let's just meet here.
Oh,
Sounds
yeah.
like a plan.
I can get you there from here.
Same.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then I guess we'll see you later this afternoon.
Oh, well, that
And
is incredibly pleasant. Will we be doing the trade this evening as well? Should I bring the item in question with me, or are you gonna need some time? It is a large sum of money, I understand. Are you gonna need some time to put that together?
I think we'll be fine.
So
Hat
I'll bring
bag.
it tonight.
That'll do.
I'll do.
All right. Well, I will be here. Let's say 5, perhaps.
That sounds agreeable.
All right. We'll get this taken care of, and then have a nice dinner, and it'll be a day. All right. You boys have a good day. I'll meet you back here later. And she kind of she just hobbles down your steps and.
Did I miss it? Did we find out where the lab was?
No, she didn't tell. She's gonna meet us here and then take us to the lab.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Meanwhile, there's some stuff going on around town, and we're not gonna go through absolutely every bit of downtime activity, or probably not. But there are a couple things that Bones and Ezrah are doing throughout the city while stuff is going on. I am going to assume, Bones and Ezrah, that you two had your conversation about investigating certain things prior to the two of you leaving this morning. So if you guys want to have that conversation now, you are more than welcome to. Otherwise, I can just summate.
Summate away.
Summate away! So basically, right, Bones, you have the, what is it, the Boomerang of Storms? Is that what it's called? Or the Storm Boomerang?
The storm boomerang.
All right. And that is an artifact that you have had with you for quite some time. But
Quite
in
a
your quest to kind of become a master craftsman, and to proceed forward with that type of things, you're kind of interested in figuring out how the Storm Boomerang acquired its powers. And so you've turned to Ezrah to see if Ezrah would be interested researching it and giving it a look over and try to figure out kind of like maybe there's a specific place that the magic is coming from, right? Because it does have markings kind of like etched upon it. What world? I gotta look at this. Oh Jesus! All right.
Why?
So I don't know.
Because
So-
I'm Devin. I'm joking. I'm not Devin. I mean, I am Devin in that picture.
So, Ezrah, I'm assuming this would be something like that you guys would do later, but you've had the conversation about it. Okay. So that's kind of on y'all's agenda to figure out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, baby.
But in the meantime, Bones, you have gone off looking in interest for
Bureaucracy.
representation. Guild representation,
Yes.
to be specific.
Also that.
Yeah. So, this
Hell
is
no, we won't go.
this is a simple enough process, right? Of kind of asking around. Now, obviously, you have been to Pirgaron's palace, which is where the Exchequer is, where you met with some of the lords of Waterdeep, right? Where this whole shebang kind of got started. But there are also throughout the city kind of administrative locations Many of those are courthouses, right? That's where the magistrates actually work and perform their duties. And typically, the city watch will have a barracks or a jail adjacent to a courthouse or something like that. But there's also typically a lot of administrative tasks that go on, right? They're basically like
the registry.
They're like little office buildings. So there are probably a couple in the nearby area in the North Ward, right, that you could head to and ask questions, basically, to try to figure out, hey, is there a guild that kind of covers what I'm looking for? And in pretty short order, you would find that there is actually a guild that partially covers what you're doing, or at least obviously, right, they don't do guilds for every single profession under the sun, because otherwise there would be 50,000 guilds instead of like 50 guilds. So what they do is they take anything that is like similar, they take that and they put that under an adjacent guild. So the recommendation that you are given is to ask about the Guild of Fine Carvers.
The Guild of Fine Carvers, okay?
Yeah. So
I ask about it.
So, well, basically that you can be given a brief description, right, of what they typically are, and most of what they do is wood carving work.
Fine things.
Well, it's mostly wood carving work for homes and things like that, right? But they do take basically all of the adjacent things, you know? So you would probably fall under that scenario, being the bone carving, bone crafting style of situation. If you want to seek them out, they have their main chapter house on the high road in the castle ward, that you can head to and speak to someone about joining.
Sorry, what'd you say?
If you want to join or you want to ask for more information, you can head to their chapter house, which is on the high road in the castle ward.
Okay, I would like to do that.
I want to say it's actually called the House of Fine Carvers, I believe.
Okay.
And it's one of those. Have you ever seen one of those places where they have like all of the wooden statues out front, for sale, like the business places? It's kind of like a combination. Like if you go to this place, it's a combination of like a wood lodge that has all of the front basically carved to depict like different beings and gods and monsters and things like that, and then out kind of front there's like 10 or 15 different like wooden statues of various things.
Okay. Sweet. I'm gonna look at them. I'm gonna assess them. I'm gonna assess their worth.
Everything that they have on display. So I wouldn't use the word opulent, right? Because it's not gold or jewels or anything like that. And I'm not sure. I don't know if Bones would really have the knowledge of how much woodworking is worth. Do you think that's something like Bones really knows?
No, I don't. Not about worth. Like how well it's done.
The skill, sure, yeah. Well. I mean, I think it's a semi sort of both, right? They look beautiful. Like everything displayed looks like it's of the highest quality.
Okay.
I feel like I'm playing Dwarven Forge now. It is of the highest quality.
I see. All right. I'd like to go in. I would like to seek.
So there's you go in and there's not really like like a receptionist area, right? It's you go in and almost immediately you're just in this kind of display room that has a bunch of glass cases with a bunch of different examples of carving, right? But there's also a bunch of stuff on display. Like, again, it kind of has that almost hunting lodge feel. The whole first room of the interior is maybe like 40 feet or so, 40 or 50 feet long, and maybe 20 or 30 feet wide, right? And there's just glass cases and chandeliers, everything just beautifully crafted and carved. Even all of the support beams, right? All of the pillars going down this open area, this display area, they're all carved ornately, right? In different styles.
They carved their own pillars.
But really, pretty quickly, someone will come up to you. And it is a...
Mitch, don't you flaunt that Dr. Pepper in my face.
It is an older, balding human woman, right? Her head's... Yeah, so she's completely bald, right? And she's she looks old, right? She's kind of got lines through her face. Her skin sags a little bit, right? But she's got a kind of a pep in her step. Like, she doesn't over towards you. Like, she walks over to you, a little bit of spring, a little bit of bounce, right? And she smiles, and she sees you kind of like looking at everything, and she doesn't interrupt you, right? Mm-hmm. She kind of waits for you to take everything in and to make your assessment of what's going on. And then when it seems like you are ready to talk, she kind of, so, can I help you with something?
Hello.
Hello.
I am Bones.
Don't you like wear Bones stuff?
Yes, I do.
And she sees that, and she's just like, I see that you are Bones.
Double-bladed scimitar, bone.
And she just kind of looks at you, says, "Is there something I can do for you?"
Yes. Well, I don't know. Maybe. Hopefully. Anyway, I am I'm hesitant to say amateur, but I guess amateur crafter of bone.
Oh, okay.
Was directed here as possibly an adjacent skill set.
So you're looking for guild representation. I gotcha.
Indeed.
Oh, all right. Sure. Come with me. Come with me. And she will lead you. She actually leads you over to the side and up a flight of stairs, to the second story of this building, which is much less hunting lodge, right? It's much more kind of like office styles. There's a bunch of different rooms. There's still a bunch of things on display that look beautiful, right? There's still a lot of quality and care that have gone into making this place. But the second level is obviously for business, right? So you come up there, and she actually takes you over to one of the rooms, and kind of sits you down in this almost like office style. She's behind the desk, you're in front of the desk, and she starts rifling through some drawers and pulling out paperwork, right? And to make a very long, drawn-out administrative process a little swifter, she chats through the whole thing, and she is very happy to answer any of your questions, but she'll basically tell you, right, that you can file to join the guild, right, in order to obtain guild representation. And guild representation comes with a number of benefits, right? Those benefits mainly being, bear with me, those benefits mainly being that working with other guild representatives becomes significantly easier, right? Most guildies will not work with non-guildies, okay?
Okay, sure.
Also, most guildies will not purchase from non-guildies.
Sure.
Okay, so if you're looking to run a business, right, and I don't know if this is something that you're actually interested in, right, but if you're looking to run a business, then joining a guild is fortuitous because, well, the guilds stick together. So if you are not a member of a guild and you refuse membership of a guild, then typically you're not going to get business from anyone who's part of a guild, and most of the city is part of a guild. You know, so that's one of the things. Other thing is, and this might be more up your alley, is that the guilds run workshops, right? So they actually do training sessions, workshops, activities, and things like that that will help you if you participate in them. They will help you train your abilities. And I mean that both from a roleplay perspective and also from a mechanical perspective. Like, if you join the guild, you will have the chance to basically on a monthly basis go to a workshop, and that will increase your skills. It basically like acts as additional training for things if you want to ramp up skills. Okay?
Yeah.
So those are the main benefits that you get for joining a guild. So you basically get training, you get representation, you get business, and I guess the kind of like the last thing is well, I guess this is kind of covered in the representation, is that you're free to like talk to people and ask questions and go about your business with the guild members and other guild members without getting shunned or accosted.
So you mentioned some collaboration there. You guys could make introductions
Absolutely.
to like a sweet leather worker to wrap my sweet bone stuff in,
Definitely.
or like, I don't know, maybe someone who could enchant things.
Now, granted, there's definitely going to be a little bit of legwork that you'll have to do on finalizing those
of
scenarios, right? We can't just force two guild members to work together if they hate each other, right?
Of course,
But we can definitely do a bit of the legwork in finding people and introducing you, and then if things go good from there, sure. Now there are a few requirements for joining guild.
Okay, hit me with them.
Okay, so
Sorry, what was your name?
my name is, let me flip back over to my name is Farfalle Serpentwind. She probably wouldn't tell you her last name. There's not really a reason to, but she'll say her name is Farfalle.
Farfalle. Okay.
And so she'll say, to join guild, you do have to pay an upfront charge, which can be a little steep for some people. But it's there to make sure that individuals only approach guild membership under serious consideration. That's kind of just a initial charge to weed out the chaff. That's 5 gold. Or she would say dragons. That's 5 dragons. Okay?
I go ahead and widen my eyes a little bit. Sure.
Right, widen your eyes. Good job playing along. Right? And she will say, so there are also the matter of your guild duties, which are 1 gold per month to retain membership of the guild. Right?
Sure.
And then there are your annual fees, which are another 5 gold at the start of every year.
Okay. Do you offer any kind of discount if I pay it up front?
Actually, I think they do. Don't quote me on this. We can hash out the money after the session if we need to. But I'm pretty sure they do like a 10 gold if you pay the whole year up front. Do your duties all in one lump sum, and then instead of paying 12 gold, basically. I think that's.
What if I pay 5 years in advance?
I don't think they do.
Can I get like
that.
40% off?
I don't think they do that.
I don't think they do that.
Sure. Okay.
It's not like your WoW account, Zach.
Yeah.
I haven't played WoW in many years, Jacob.
Many years.
Yeah, Jacob.
Many years. Last year. Many years.
No, it wasn't
Yeah.
last year. Was it last year?
I think
Yeah,
it
it's
was
definitely
last
last
year,
year.
wasn't it?
No, it
It
wasn't.
was
Was it?
100%
It might not.
last
It
year.
might not have been. It might have been the
It was
year
when
before
BFA
that.
came out. Whenever that was.
Hey,
Last year.
I don't know.
Battle for Ezrah.
That doesn't seem right, but
That was
maybe it
last.
is.
Anyways, so Farfaley will kind of walk you through this whole process. So the money, we can hash out the money scenario, but that's not really going to be an issue for you. But she will say,
You don't know what kind of issue it'll be.
so that's the monetary side of things. But there is you will need to submit a show of your work, so that the guild can assess your skill level and know what tier to place you.
Okay. Talk to me about these tiers. How do I go up? How do I go down? What are the benefits of them?
So
Can I go down?
huh? No, you don't really go down. I guess
Yeah, by sucking.
well, technically there are so the guilds everyone is subject to the laws of the city, right? But the guilds kind of also have their own laws. And most of those are like internal laws, and if I mean, there's some weird stuff, basically, like a baker that's proven to be screwing with the margins of flour in his bread, right? Or selling at an under guild rate, right? Gets basically tarred and feathered with his own flour, right? So there are guild laws, which are basically just traditions, right? So the scenario for this, right, is you don't really go down in mastery, in tier, but if a master were to do something especially heinous that a guild disagreed with, they might, rather than just kick the person out, they might demote them, right? And that's a big slap in the face, right? And
So,
can
like,
really
if
hurt a
you're
lot of business.
You can, like, charge more for stuff?
Well, yeah. So the tiers are mostly notoriety, right?
Variety. Oh.
Yeah. So like, who is willing to work with you? Who wants to buy from you, etc. Those types of things.
I see.
And there's supposed to be direct correlations of the quality of your craftsmanship. So what the scenario is basically you would submit a piece that would be judged by members of the guild, and from that they would basically rank you, and go from there.
You have other bone carvers here that can assess
Farfaley says, "Oh well, I think we've got one or two that deal with it on occasion. I'm not sure we have anyone who really specializes, but there will be plenty that can be judged from your craftsmanship aside from just the bone itself."
That's a great question. Do they have a bone tribunal?
A bone tribunal? Not that I'm aware of, no. Not that Farfaley's aware of.
They both judge the bones and your skill at carving them.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Sounds good. Do you judge it?
Oh, well, I don't believe I would be on the committee, but I would be filing all the paperwork for you and making sure that it gets handled. Do you happen to have a piece that you're wanting to display or have judged?
I unhooked my double-bladed scimitar. This is probably the best thing I've made so far.
Oh, well, she looks at you and says, this might take a couple days. I'm not sure. You seem like the working type.
Probably.
Is there a piece that you would miss less? Of course, if it's too much of a concern, you could make something especially for this task. Many crafters do so. Many will work on their presentation for months before they actually attempt to join a guild.
Well, I do have something in the works, but it's gonna be a while before it's ready.
Fair, that's fair. Well, I will say this. Truthfully, as long as you have some modicum of skill, it typically will not be an issue to get into the guild. The guild's not about limiting people or preventing individuals from trying to make their living. It's just more to make certain that you have some skill and this isn't some sort of scam or anything.
I see.
And if necessary, you don't need to leave the piece with us at the moment. We can make arrangements and then set a time for you to show up and have the piece examined then.
Okay.
If that would work better for your situation.
Okay, let me ask your opinion, Farfully. Let me get real with you.
Mm-hmm.
Super real.
Mm-hmm.
This double-bladed scimitar, this is gonna be trash compared to what I'm working on. But I'm spending a lot of time with my friends in the dungeon of the Mad Mage. So I don't get like a lot of time to work on it.
Or? So you're concerned that it's going to be a while before you could actually finish that piece. Well, how about this? I will say, if that is your concern, when you are placed in a tier, and basically she'll let you know the tiers are basically novice, journeyman, was it? I can't remember what the third tier is, but then it's novice, journeyman, something, and then master. Okay?
Sure.
So she basically says if you're placed in a tier,
Expert.
It's something like that, but I think there's a different word that the guilds use specifically. So she says, if you're placed in a tier that you are unhappy with, that does not mean that you are confined to that tier, doomed for eternity. You just go through another submission process. There is a small fee for that when you are a member of a guild. Small fee, nominal fee. But you just go through that submission process. Your work is again judged, and if it is deemed of worthy quality, then you are increased in rank.
How much is a small nominal fee?
It's 2 gold.
Oh, that is small and nominal.
Yeah, it's legit not a thing. So I will say the guilds work very much kind of on like group effort and honor systems for the most part, right? Obviously, there's effort.
Can I get people to like work on my shit while I'm gone?
You would have to try to work with people and set that up, right? But that's definitely an option, right? It'd basically be like either contracting people or trying to establish like a business with someone, right? If you did go into business with another person, they could be doing the majority of the work while you're harvesting materials, you know? So, but that's something that you could definitely look into, but that's an endeavor.
An endeavor. Okay. Sure. Yeah, let's set it up. Let's set the judging. I could probably leave this if I had to, but if it's all the same, I'll just keep it.
So Farfalli will say, I probably need about 2 days.
Sure.
When is the next opportune time for you? Let's say, it's the 18th now. I could probably. Could you do it tomorrow?
Can I do what tomorrow?
Can you be here for your craftsmanship to be examined tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
I'd hate to do it on last sheaf because I think, well, most people have plans.
Tomorrow super early or tomorrow evening maybe?
Tomorrow evening would probably be preferable.
Okay. So like 8 p.m.
Pretty late in the evening. Thinking more along the lines of 6 or so.
What happens if I miss my appointment?
Well, there's nothing necessarily wrong. There's no punishment, but she looks at you and she says it's kind of like showing up late for your first day of work. Doesn't exactly leave a good first impression.
We go in the dungeon at like 8 a.m. Are we planning on going in the dungeon again? Do we talk about that tomorrow?
We plans were that today we were handling all of our in-town stuff, and then the 19th was when we were heading back into the dungeon.
Okay.
But
So
I
we
mean,
dungeon
if
for, like-
plans need to change, plans can change.
We dungeon for like 8 hours. We get back. I drop by the guild if I'm alive. 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Can you do 6 p.m.?
6 p.m. should work fine.
Okay, 6 p.m. it is.
All right, we'll sign you. She's writing. We'll get it all taken care of, and we'll see you then. Is this the is this the piece you'll be submitting?
Yes, unless I break it.
She just like kind of like looks it over and jots down a couple of basic like descriptions about what it is. How long have you had it?
2 weeks. How long have we been doing this?
Okay, so this is a recent.
3 weeks.
This is a recent display of your craftsmanship.
Yes.
All right,
We're like what, 4 days into this?
something like that.
How many days into the Mad Mage are we?
Yeah, like 4, maybe 5.
Yeah,
Yeah,
4 or 5.
so-
yeah.
Oh, like a week or two, like 2 weeks.
We started Oktar 13th. It is currently Oktar 17th or 18th.
18th. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, we've made progress in the last
Literally
3 months.
5 days, half a week.
Sure. Okay.
You
Yeah,
guys
like
are gonna
2
clear
weeks.
the first level in like less than a week. It's great. Good job, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
not
we didn't
sarcasm.
skip that
That was legit, by the way. Anyways, so that information kind of down, right? So there is the matter of the 5 gold for the entry fee.
Okay.
Right? And that's paid regardless of whether or not you get accepted into the guild.
Sure.
Okay, so you pay that.
Can they break a plat?
Yeah, she can break a plat. She doesn't just like pull out her purse and breaks the plat for you, but she goes, "Oh, okay," and she has to like walk back to her room, and then she comes back with some change.
All right, 5 it is. 3
Okay.
plus 5, 9.
All right, sounds good. And
I'm gonna cancel my second thing because I'm gonna count on the guild for that introduction.
yeah, it sounded like that was kind of in line with what you're looking for there, so that'll be
It
cool.
is.
All right, awesome.
Okay, and I will meander back.
Fantastic. All right. So while that is happening, I believe Ezra has gone off in search of some
God damn!
other stuff. What?
He's making fun of me. I don't know how I feel about it.
I didn't actually. That was not me making fun of you at all. I just realized that I stuttered and that you occasionally stutter, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together in my head at all. So
DM's making fun of one of his players.
yes,
Let it be known.
the
Let
DM
it be
is
known.
making fun of these 4 players who are constantly making fun of
We
the
would
DM.
never make fun of you,
Never,
Jeremy.
ever,
No,
absolutely
receipts.
not.
If you're gonna make that kind of that accusation, I'm gonna need receipts.
Yeah, I'd like receipts.
I got like 11 3-hour sessions to go be examples right now.
you can
I'm
say
gonna need you to
have
go
it all
look
day
through all
long.
those and find all examples to prove this point.
Guys, I don't have the time for that.
Well,
or the
without the
or the
receipts,
willingness to
that's
see
all-
this argument through.
Sounds like hearsay then.
I guess I lose. That's just how it is. All right, Ezra, you have one main thing that you are wanting.
That is correct.
Because you've already spoken to Bones kind of about the researching his boomerang, and then you have already figured out the extra patches. Patches.
Correct.
So we'll see how
Fucking
that goes.
patches.
And but now you have a special quest, and that quest is to find and kill Mert the Moneylender.
I think you misremember the.
Did
the
Did
mission.
did I get something wrong?
Yes, he is my
Find
ally.
and destroy Mert the Moneylender.
That's
Right,
that's
okay,
kind,
cool.
Kind of closer. I
Financially cripple.
Yeah, find and financially cripple the
No,
wealthiest man in
he will
existence.
do that
No.
to me.
Find and talk to Mert
Mhm.
the Moneylender,
Discuss.
which is
Destroy, discuss.
you're going to see him because he is basically your highest up the food chain contact in the
He's your
Harpers.
prey.
Which,
He's my boss's boss.
yeah, he's like half owner of the company type of thing over here.
And my boss.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay, so here's the question: how are you finding Mert the Moneylender? What is your plan, good sir?
I would have reached out. Two things. I would have reached out to
Sure.
my contact in the library,
Okay, sure.
requesting an audience. And
Ooh, did you do
also-
do that last night type thing?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Gotcha.
I also, if I hadn't heard back yet, would have gone to the establishment that we had met him at.
The
The
Opera
theater.
House. Yes. So I would say you probably got a paper bird this morning, right? With probably a small snippet saying that that they couldn't arrange a formal meeting, right? But that Mert is intended to be at the theater for most of the day, that you should be able to find him there. So,
Mosey on over.
alright, so moseying on over. Trying to remember the name of that place. It's in the Sea Ward. It's really upscale. It's over near the bathhouse. Remember the name of the place.
Are you sure it's in the Sea Ward? I don't have anything in the.
Yes, the one that you guys met Mert at is the one in the ward. There's a couple of others that you guys investigated. One that is in the dock ward. And that's an entirely different theater. Anyways, though, so I don't think the name is terribly important, so we can skip over that. But you are able to make your way over there mid-morning-ish and find your way into the place.
Light singers.
There you go. That's what it is. Yep. The Light
Got it.
Singers. So,
That's fair.
so you find your way there, and you find your way in before the first performance of the day. They have basically a pre-lunch performance that they put on, and then they have a series of performances that they do throughout the day. Basically, they have a matinee, basically. So,
What show am I watching?
what show are you watching? Where's my chart? Doo-ba-doo.
I love that you have a chart for what plays are playing on certain days.
Look. I have a chart for your food.
Definitely.
He's
Definitely not over the top.
He's got to be prepared for hassles like me.
Weird. So do you actually buy a ticket and go watch the performance and everything like that, or are you just trying to sneak in and try to get to Mert?
I would. My intent would be to find someone that I know would be able to pass a message to him. And that I would go see the show in.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to find anyone. You can literally just, like, there are bellhops and things like that you could just, slip 2 shards and say, hey, will you deliver a message to Mert for me?
I will buy a ticket and give him my seat number and let him know, hey.
Okay. Now, Lightsinger is an upscale theater, so if you're just buying tickets, base tickets are 1 gold.
Okay.
So that's
dropping 2 shards and a gold.
Not too bad, but the performance that you watch is called 3 Short Fevers. And how much do you think Ezrah would enjoy more abstract pieces of opera?
Does it seem like a historic piece,
No,
or is it just something completely imaginary?
It seems like so it's not a one-person opera.
Mm-hmm.
There are, as you watch through, right, there are 4 or 5 different characters, but the story itself follows the delusions of a singular character.
Not his favorite.
Not his favorite? Okay, I didn't think so.
But he appreciates the arts enough that he's not completely snoring in the seat.
Yeah, it's also, you can see, it's put on by mostly younger performers. This piece in and of itself looks like it's something, there's probably a reason why it's in the matinee slot. This is probably a performative piece, or a piece that one of the actors or individuals is putting on themselves, right? That the Lightsinger...
Right, direct and star?
Exactly, right? It's one of those type scenarios of stretching their creative muscles and kind of getting into that scenario. This is never... Probably never something that would be in their prime time slots, But it is...
One day he'll make it big, Jeremy.
It is
you gotta
interesting
believe.
Piece. Hey, by all means. So...
You gotta believe.
At the intermission, right? This bellhop will return and basically tell you that Mert is in his, and I do mean his. He has his own box. So he is there and he is ready to receive you when you are available.
Hurry on over.
Head on up. All right. So you head on up, and so it doesn't take you long to get up the flight of stairs and down one of the large corridors to Mert's box. And as you knock on it, right, that same individual, right, the kind of darker skinned, very robust, younger gentleman is there, and he smiles and kind of nods, knowing you and expecting you, right? That's the other thing, he's kind of expecting you. So he nods and steps aside from the door and kind of allows you to enter. And Mert is there, lounging on this sofa, right? In his half corpulent form.
How are you half corpulent?
Because he's got this massive beer belly, right? This huge gut, but he's actually pretty spry, right? He still tries to keep himself active and everything like that. So he's kind of got this this
So,
weird
dad bod.
vibe going. So when he's like lounging, when he's reclined, he just looks like a kind of old curly mustachioed fat guy, right? But when he's up on his feet and he's kind of like doing the he's kind of he kind of has the bod of shit. What's the movie?
Thor from Endgame.
Fat Thor.
No, well, yeah, but I was thinking more along the lines of like the dad from Incredibles, right?
Oh.
He's got that whole like when he's slouched, when he's drooped, he's got that big gut, right? That he's just like, ugh. But when he's up and he kind of like sucks it in and he does the barrel chested thing, right? That's kind of Mert.
Okay, gotcha.
Not
I
as
thought he was a fat dude.
not nearly as imposing, right? Not nearly as like he's not stacked, but he's still like very physically fit and nimble when he is up and on his feet. Either way, though, he graciously receives you, Ezrah, and he pretty much gets straight down to the point. He is drinking some wine, and he's cracking what look to be like shit. What are they? Hazelnuts. Or the Faerunian equivalent, right?
Yep. Some sort of fruit or nut type thing.
Yeah, and so he's basically like he's just hanging out, and he. What can I do for you, Ezrah?
Hey, Mert, how's it going? It's good to see you.
Yes, it is good to see me.
You're funny. So I as you know, me and a couple of individuals were working our way through the Undermountain situation.
Indeed, I hope that is going well.
It's a work in progress. We are definitely making some progress. Met a really nice vampire guy that's
his
taking
eyes
liking to one of the guys.
immediately just narrow, right? And he's just like, vampire guy liking what?
Yeah, Artor something.
He kind of looks over his shoulder at his manservant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And immediately just says, kind of like hooks a thumb out to the hallway. It says, "Make sure we've got no hang-arounds." I'm so southern today, guys. I can't help it. But so the guy immediately like nods and opens the door and steps out into the hallway, clearly like going to make sure that there's no one listening at the door or anything like that.
Yep.
You know? So Mark looks at you and he says, "You should be careful saying that name, city. The wrong ears catching you, and well, let's just say there might be a gauntlet you'll have to deal with."
A gauntlet, like a piece of armor you wear on your arms, or
I was thinking more along the lines of a organization.
Ninja warrior.
I will make sure that my allies are aware that that name.
He looks at you and he
with a
says,
little bit,
"You see that you do that."
yeah,
Flash to Matt walking through the streets shouting, "I met Arthur Morland!"
It's like Vaughn in Final Fantasy 12 when he's like, "I'm Bosch von Ronsenberg."
99.999% of the city is gonna think you're just this crazy loon, and then there's gonna be like 300 people that are immediately out to kill you for one reason or another, right? Anyways, so Mert will say, "Sorry, I interrupted you."
Nope. I appreciate the warning. Definitely something that should be vocalized so that we can make sure not to draw undue attention.
He kind of nods and curls his mustache and says,
Information
yes.
is power, after all. So, speaking of information, so like I said, we're making some progress. We're working our way through the first level. We've dealt with a couple of cool things, you know, some tentacles with beaks, some grick. A troll was down there.
You at first you say that like tentacles with beaks, and he's like, and then he's like, yeah, one of those things. So he just kind of like nods along with you as you kind of like list off these critters that you have done battle against. And you see like a little smile stretch across his face, and he kind of starts to get that starry-eyed look, like he's
remembrance of his good old days,
reliving the past. Get the slaughter monstrosities.
So we're doing great. We're definitely doing some work. But I have noticed that there is a something that might cause some strain on our ability to complete our tasks, and I was hoping that you might be able to help me find a way to bridge these strains.
He looks at you and he says, eyes you up and down. Strain. Issues. Are you having paramour-related problems?
Paramour. I could use a rephrasing of the question.
Is this a question of love, son?
No. This is an issue with our ability to handle what we come across and transporting anything of import in our journey.
Technically, only you have that issue.
He doesn't know that. Shut up.
So he says, you mean like carrying things?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
He looks at you and he says, have you ever thought of lifting weights?
I have thought about it and decided against it for other more interesting.
It just kind of like, he looks at you and he kind of nods and he says, yeah, I figured you for that. So you're looking for what? Magical assistance?
Information, more than likely. I don't know what you might be able to rally for me, but yes, I'm looking for some sort of magical container or contraption. I've heard of there's a couple of different things out there, but I'm having a little bit of a issue trying to locate anything of that nature.
Sure. Well, I can understand why. Those types of contraptions are typically quite valuable, and though not exactly rare, they are somewhat of a, I mean, as you can see, right? A sought-after commodity.
Yep, understandable.
Huh. I think I might be able to investigate for you, see if we can't drum up some sort of answer to your problems. Can't say it's gonna be cheap or...
Nope. I definitely understand that these things come at a cost, and I would not ask for you to
he looks at you. He looks at you and he says, well, don't misunderstand me. There's the cost of the item itself.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you
But I mean,
the cost of the favor. And of course, that's the way. That's what things work.
Damn, does he just look at Ezra and say, "Have you thought of getting a boy?"
he says,
What?
Like a boy to carry his shit.
Oh.
that
Oh,
earlier
shit.
when he was asking like magical, right?
That's bad.
Had Ezra not like specifically said something along those lines, he was gonna go the route. Well, you could always hire a couple of porters and get them to carry stuff around behind you in the dungeon, right? He was legit gonna go that route.
Adopt him young, and then this is the
My
only life
God,
they know.
Zach, shut the fuck up, dumbass.
You Colonel Sanders them.
No. All right. So Mert he'll kind of like lean back as you're talking to him right there, and he kind of nods and he says, "All right, yeah. I will look into this for you, and I'm pretty sure I can promise you results. Now, as I said, this will come to some cost for you." But he looks at you and he says, "But I don't think it will be untenable. In the meantime, though, you could do me a bit of a favor."
Oh,
And so this is the favor for a favor part, right?
the tit for tat.
Yeah, and so he says, he says, "We're doing a bit of research. I mean, we always are, but specifically, we're doing a bit of research in regards to the mission that you are currently on.
Ooh, interesting.
Now, Halaster has had a number of apprentices over the many years that he has run and controlled Undermountain. Now, of course, there are the 7. He kind of says that unsurely, but he nods, yeah. There are the 7, his original apprentices. But then there are hundreds throughout the ages. Most are unnoteworthy, mere footnotes. More often than not, just Halaster looking to entertain himself for a brief amount of time. Most die quickly. And it would not surprise me if you don't find plenty of them down there in that mountain. I did myself."
We did find a mummified minotaur. Maybe he was one of them.
Hey, Mert just kind of like shrugs and says, "It's entirely possible." No pets. No pets for your face
All
on
the
my
pet
microphone. No, sir. No, sir. You will let me.
If you just give him attention, we wouldn't have these kind of issues, Jeremy.
No, that's true.
So
Just take him to work
he
with
says, there was one apprentice that we have recently heard of that was doing some research we feel might be valuable. Research we feel might give us a better understanding of what's going on in Undermountain. Now, we have reason to believe that this apprentice used to inhabit the arcane chambers, which is the he looks at you, says that's the most commonly used name for the 2nd level. In times past, Halaster had many apprentices set up there, which earned it its moniker. Now, this apprentice hasn't been seen for 100 years or more. But we have reliable information to say that some of his research may have survived. If you could locate this research, find it, bring it back to us, well, That would indeed be quite the favor. And so to kind of like, so he's kind of like sitting there talking through, making sure Ezra's following, and still in kind of like agreement. You're not. Are you giving him any off-putting vibe or grimaces or anything like that, or or is Ezra mostly like kosher with the deal?
The only, I don't want to call it negative response, but the only inquisitive reaction would be when Ezra realizes that he's being asked to go back in there for his inquiry.
Oh, he says, yeah. So he'll say, "Don't worry, we'll get you taken care of, but it might take a day or two to find someone that is willing to be parted with their property." Now, this is not me saying you have to find this research prior to this item being procured for you. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I believe you are good for the favor. If you're going to be heading in that direction, feel you should know what we're looking for beforehand.
I appreciate the heads up, and I will keep an eye out.
So he will say, so this apprentice's name is Calabash. I'm trying to remember if there's an H in that. I mean, there's definitely definitely an H at the end, but I'm trying to remember if there's an H at the beginning. Just look.
There are at least 3, just because it's a name.
I don't think there are 3. I think there might be 2. There is 1, actually.
For those of you that don't know the joke, our lovely DM likes to add H's to his created names.
Does not. The lovely
I don't know
GM
why you would lie
does
like
not
that.
do this.
Weird.
That is the name
I spelled
given
it
to you,
correctly.
good sir. Yay!
I didn't put extra H's in there.
So I wasn't sure if there was an extra H after the K or not. Anyways, so he will say, so the apprentice is named Calabash, right? A human man, as far as he is aware, right? Again, hasn't been seen in over 100 years, so it's unlikely that he's still around, but they've received a couple of different tips, right, to that for some reason makes them believe that his research might still be available. And he definitely gives off the vibe that he doesn't really want to talk about what they think the research is, but he, just for the sake of you being able to kind of verify things, he will tell you that the gist of the research has to deal with the Shadow Realm.
The Shadow Realm, you say?
Yes.
God damn it, Zach.
What?
We're talking about the Shadowfell, right?
Well, yeah, that's what it is in actual terms, sure, but that
not the Upside Down.
no. Well, I mean, technically, yeah. But the way Mert talks about it is he says the Shadow Realm, and when he says it, right, he gets that kind of glassy-eyed, distant look again. And this one is not like, yeah, this isn't the pleasant one. This is like the kind of
lost an ally type
PTSD, like lost in his own mind for a second, and then he kind of like he holds that for 5 or 6 seconds, and he kind of just sighs really heavily, and then he kind of blinks and he looks up at you and he says, "Be careful dealing with, well, I don't have to tell you. You need to be careful with everything down there."
Yeah, we're learning that. It's been an adventure.
He looks at you and he says, "Don't get me wrong, there's plenty down there of worth. Curiosity is a good thing, as long as it's tempered with caution.
Oh, I've got plenty of that.
Don't have too much
more,
of it.
More than my allies. They
well,
push
there you go. That's a good
Freaking
balance.
rude.
That's a good balance.
You're not here. Shut up.
I had that
Doesn't make it less rude.
back in the day too, with my allies. Be very helpful having one to counterbalance the other. Regardless, I will look into this matter for you. I'll send you information as soon as I get it.
I appreciate your input. It definitely will make our lives a little easier to do what we've been asked to do.
Kind of nods. And he says, "Well, doesn't come free, so
Nothing in
it is
life
what
does.
it is." He nods and he says, "Yep." He is Mert the moneylender, so absolutely.
I am talking to the right guy.
Yeah, you are 100% talking to the right guy.
So Mert, is there anything else of import that I need to know about Calabash? Any if he isn't dead? If we've seen some weird things in the Underdark. Halaster had some
he kind of
fan
nods. He
books.
says, "Yeah, it's not impossible. It's unlikely, but it's not impossible. I think didn't really find much of note about him other than his research. I think the notes mentioned him being a bit of a drunkard.
So alcohol might be bargaining.
Maybe. That's about all I have. So, there's nothing else. I'll get back to you when I can." And he seems like he's kind of pushing you out, and you realize intermission is ending.
So before I go, Mert, what did you think of the first act? It was a little abstract for me, but I'd love to hear your input.
He says, "Abstract's a good word for it."
I thought he said extract.
And he kind of like chuckles, like he has an inside joke, right? And he says, "It's an interesting piece. One that I feel is best enjoyed when the mind is not entirely in control." And he turns and he takes another like very heavy like plug off of his wine.
Okay. Yep. My mistake. Well, enjoy the second act.
Did Mert just tell you to get into drugs?
Drinking or drugs, basically any mental
imbibements.
So obfuscation, anything, you know.
Enjoy the rest of the show. I don't mean to take any more of your time, and I look forward to hearing from you.
He'll nod and bid you adieu and go about his business. Okay. So, that...
I will skip the second act.
You skip the second act? Aww. Aww. Okay, sounds good. So I think that takes care of the majority of the downtime activities that you guys had really discussed with me. Obviously, a bit of time is going to pass. You guys are free to do what you please. But I think the next big thing, unless someone else has something they want to do, I think the next big thing is you guys probably meeting back up this evening.
I am fine with this.
So, all right. So, assuming that everyone kind of gets notified throughout the day as they kind of filter back into the manor, you guys get together around 5-ish, right? And I'm assuming everyone is prepped and ready to go.
I would, Ezra would ask for a moment of privacy with just our group.
Oh, she's not there yet. Yeah, by all means. Okay. Yeah, you guys can you have talk out whatever you need to by or however long, by whatever means necessary. So,
hi guys, how's your day?
It was pretty good.
We met the original owner of Troll School Manor.
Really?
Yes.
Seems like a bold claim.
She was a dwarf.
The original owner, or
I don't know if someone owned it before her, but she owned it 20 years ago.
Gotcha. I'm pretty sure it's been around for longer than 20 years, but
I don't think so. I think Ash is right on this one. Original owner.
But yeah, her name is
a couple more notes about Matt.
Stone-Marrow. But anyways, she is actually our contact that Anastas found for us, and she has a staff that can provide healing options for us. But for us to be able to potentially purchase it, she wants a favor. She has a protector of sorts, which is apparently some kind of metal humanoid that is enchanted.
Oh, the shield guardian that you were told about. Okay, yeah.
She has this gauntlet that she wears. Not like a bunch of people that will come to kill you if you mention Artor's name, but like an actual gauntlet that you wear.
You don't know that yet because I haven't warned you.
He continues to not warn you.
Yeah.
That was my plan, but I was being polite.
I love it. I was just gonna be like, yeah, he's just never gonna tell you about that.
That would be funny. But yeah, and we're gonna go take care of it for her, and
what, take care of her guardian?
Yeah. Apparently, it's been how you say running amok, and she's got it trapped in her lab.
Running amok.
Yeah. Apparently, it requires maintenance every so often, and apparently, it's not as receptive to maintenance as it previously was.
I have to admit that is not something I have found in my studies. That is good to know if I ever want a shield guardian to verse myself in repairs.
This is the first I've ever heard of them.
They are interesting and useful.
How they all work.
Okay, so that is the trade for her object, is to help her with her guardian?
She said 4,000 gold for the staff if we do this for her.
Oh, we still have to pay for the staff.
Yeah, the reward is a 50% discount.
So us helping her with her guardian isn't the bargain.
It is a bargain. That's how we get the 50% off.
That either we can do this for her and pay 4,000, or we could not do this for her and pay 8,000. Or was it 9,000? I can't remember. It was
9,000. Your math is bad.
All right. Well,
I thought that was my job.
9,000 for full price, 4,500 for half price.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Do we have that kind of money for?
I have like 700 gold on me, which I would be glad to contribute, but
would have had more.
There are
but someone spent a whole lot of money on healing potions.
Yeah,
which is not a bad thing.
No regrets.
No regrets.
I have regrets.
Do we need to have the money ready?
Yeah, Matt kind of said, "Bring the thing." How much money do you
Oh,
got, buddy?
I got plenty of money. Let me see.
Okay.
I open up my
Isn't
bag.
Matashtai like
Well-
the person who doesn't really do money?
Yep.
Gotcha.
That's why I have a lot of it.
I don't
And,
do money. I'm just Scrooge McDuck.
No, he's
I-
not
I
Scrooge
pull
McDuck.
up-
He just doesn't care.
I pull out my bag of holding and I start pulling out coins one by one. 1 plat. 2, 3 plat.
Okay, so 3
I
hours
have-
later, old Kariya has showed up, and she's just like waiting, tapping her foot angrily at this point.
I have 508 plat.
Ooh.
Good gracious. Actually, I had something similar to that till I
Yeah.
bought
Guys,
literally.
you guys
all the
are all
purchases.
rolling with a thick chunk of change for the most part.
Well,
It's inaccurate.
Well, we're rolling with a thick chunk
Yeah.
of change.
Okay. Well, if that's Matt, that's something that
Bones, you in? You coming? Is Bones here?
Yeah.
Is
yeah,
Bones
we're all
here?
here.
Yes.
Yes.
Why'd you whisper?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm in.
Rich man?
What?
Why'd you do that?
I don't know. It just happened.
Well,
Oh.
that's interesting that we've got something to do this evening. I did have a meeting with Mert. You guys remember Mert, the moneylender? He's the leader
Yeah,
of the Harpers,
remember him from
or
the
one of
movie.
the leading
Yeah.
members of the Harpers. We had a nice little conversation. I mentioned our friend that we have met, that Ashes you are so attuned with. Turns out that his name is not something we should be talking about in public spaces.
His name is my name too.
And it was impressed upon me that it could cause us some discomfort, namely primarily from the Order of the Gauntlet, but in general, using that name is probably not a great idea, unless we're in safe spaces. So you wanted me to make sure to let you guys know so that we can keep ourselves on the up and up and out of trouble.
That's good to know. I mean,
That is good to know.
Vadra also warned us about. No, I mean it was just about associating with them, but
Yeah.
not anything about talking about them topside. So it's good to know.
The name comes with a certain weight, it seems. So bear that in
Well,
mind.
I mean, just to be
Bear in mind.
transparent, it would be best for me if people didn't know I had any kind of connections
Association?
to
To that individual. Okay, cool.
to
Yep.
that species in general.
Falling down on your job. Jeez.
Oh yeah. All right, I'm gonna go fight Artor now. Level
What?
5 character.
Look,
1v1 me, bro.
you tell the
So-
peasants. You explain to the peasants why this horrid monstrosity continues to feed upon them.
Well,
I-
I mean, all right, Jeremy, I would like to abandon this party, travel back to the Wood of Sharp Teeth, go get a crew of warriors from my order, come back to Waterdeep, delve into the dungeon, and take on Artor.
Do you think that's legit what Ashes would want to do?
I mean, that would definitely be an option, but not for the sake of this campaign. Would
You could always send a message, Ashes.
You realize the likelihood of a missive being intercepted.
probably not. My character probably would not know about that kind of stuff, but he also hasn't considered writing home yet. So
Or even magically home. There are options, just things to consider. Not things you gotta do, just things to consider. Huh?
I don't know message.
No.
Message ain't gonna do it, man.
Message isn't gonna do it, but there are services to be purchased in the City of Splendors.
I will consider it. Thank you for
making sure you guys realize that you have a bunch of options. Crazy amount of options. This is the City of Waterdeep. Anything can happen here.
No bags of holding. Plenty of options. No bags of holding.
Look, you guys have 2! Give him a day or 2 to get another one. Fuck.
Yep.
I'm okay with waiting.
Yeah, you would be.
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Ezra's here trying to lug around shit.
Anyway,
It's just not carry around as much stuff.
You could do that.
I don't think he really can do that, actually.
No,
like,
I'm
he doesn't
pretty
have
bare bones.
that much muscular strength to not carry around stuff.
So, regardless, I did learn a couple of other useful tidbits of information. We are about to head to the second level of the dungeon, potentially in the not too distant future, hopefully, as long as, we don't die to something gruesome and terrible on the floor. But the second floor is known as the Arcane Chamber. This name has been given to it because it was previously inhabited by several of Halaster's apprentices. And so in my mind, I would assume there probably being several traps or devices that could bid us ill will. So keep that in mind as we are looking for that sort of thing. Along with that, Mert did mention that one of these said apprentices, a gentleman by the name of Calabash, had some research of note, and he has asked us to try and bring some of that back for study.
What sort of research is it?
The best he was able to give me is dealing with the Shadow Realm. What I understand is it's a mirror to Faerun, similar to the Feywild, just it is a...
Sounds like you just made a bunch of words there.
pretty terrible place. Lots of things that go bump in the night.
I don't know. Like, actually, would Matashtai probably doesn't have a whole lot of dealings with like the higher ups in order, though, right? Like, not a lot. So there would definitely be plenty of individuals in your order, like the Kalashtar, doing like having associations with both the Shadowfell and the Feywild. Absolutely. But probably not at at the level that you are involved in. Probably not. Okay.
So
Cool.
the information is related to this mirror realm to Faerun. So that could hold some value for us in our adventures. Just wanted to put that out there, that is something to keep our eyes out for.
Right.
Yes, we will do that.
It is around this time, right, that Okoria Stone-Marrow shows up at the Lifted Spirits. Kind of comes in, all hustle and bustle, right? Scurries up over, plops up onto one of the bar stools, and immediately just like dum dum, and Lift is there pouring her a glass of brandy.
I walk up, pop squat next to her.
Same.
How are you now?
She kind of like looks at you and she says, Alright, so just to be clear, she takes a big swig of the brandy. Where we're going, you're not to be poking around in things. You're not to be snooping on stuff. You're to go and handle the situation. Okay?
What situation?
She looks up. They not tell
I
you?
did. I totally told them. By the way, this
Oh.
is Bones and Ezra.
Yes,
Hello.
we are restraining something.
So I have to ask, Miss Okoria, were you the original owner of Troll Skull Manor?
I, the original owner of Troll Skull Manor. Hell, this thing was built 3 generations before I was born. Maybe. I don't know.
Come on, Ashes.
Probably not
How'd you
that
get
old,
wrong?
but
What are you talking about? I didn't do
I
anything.
definitely wasn't the original owner.
Okay, I just wanted to clear something up. It was a conversation topic that we had before, and I was just curious.
You know, that
Useful
troll's
information.
that skull's from the Troll Wars.
Trolls.
Yeah, the
What are
Troll
those
Wars.
Did you guys fight a lot of trolls?
Oh,
We fought a troll while we were down in the dungeon.
That
It
wasn't
was
me.
pretty
I
fun.
wasn't involved in this. This is back in the founding days of the city. That's the why so many streets and things like that up here have names of troll something. That's the holiday of Trolltide. Is
So did you just push them down into the Undermountain, or?
Oh no, they well, I'm sure
That
some
one
of them
didn't make
ended.
it. I pointed at one over the mantelpiece.
I'm sure some of them ended up there, but they lived on the Mires to the north, and there was a time when they warred with the city constantly. It's a pretty big event in the
we
history
should have
of
taken
Waterdeep.
the skull from the troll we killed so that we could have a matching set.
Added
Did
to it.
not think about it.
Because you could line
Come on,
you
Bones.
could line troll skulls all over this place. Start hanging them on the outside walls.
A troll is not a humanoid.
Yes, it is.
In his mind. Anyways.
So,
Fucker.
Shield Guardian. It's going a little AWOL, huh?
He says, yes, and I just need it subdued, and then I can take care of it from there. However, as I was saying, I will take you to the location, but don't go snooping around all over the place.
I do have another question.
Yes.
So they mentioned disabling the construct. I don't do much on the physical side, as you can guess. So I just want to double check, because I have not worked with a construct of this nature in my history. What kinds of magic would be inappropriate?
He looks at you and says, well, what do you do?
My two go-to damage tools would be Magic Missile. I'm sure you know all about Magic Missile. It's a useful tool, has some force damage, could put some dents in the creature. I just don't want to.
That'll be fine. That's no big deal.
And then I will summon my Mage Hand to pick up a mug. So it's got the purple ichor dropping off of it. I can have that thing harass individuals.
Yeah, she looks at it and she says, either way, you should be fine as long as you're not blowing any part of the thing away. Inside the chest cavity is where the sigils and the enchantments lie. So if you go damaging inside, that could cause some problems. But as long as you're just banging it up and denting it and so forth, you shouldn't have any issues.
Good to know. Just wanted to make sure. Didn't want to.
She says, now that I think about it, boys, I am sorry. I don't. I try to keep better track of these types of things, but it's just been so long since I've had to worry about it. I have honestly forgotten. One of the key things about my guardian is that, well, it can store a little bit of magic to help out in bad times.
Oh boy.
And she says, the trouble is, I don't recall what magic I had at store.
Sweet.
I haven't used it in a couple of years. At least not that extensively. The occasional thug or dumb mugger. Normally I just snap my fingers and my guardian goes all and they go running. So
do you happen to know the capacity of what kind of or what grade or level of magic can be imbued so that we can at least
what? Around 3rd level-ish or so.
Okay. Well, that gives us a ballpark, and
yeah.
I appreciate that. And I start thinking in my head of a bunch of 3rd level spells that could cause us some problems.
But she says, ooh, sorry. Phrase. 4th level or so.
Oh shit! All right.
Take it back.
Okay.
Take it back now, y'all.
That makes things a
One
little
hop
more
to
spicy.
Right foot, let's stomp.
I like how Jeremy has to look up the spell to determine.
I had to make sure because I was like, wait a second. She doesn't remember. She legit doesn't remember what spell is stored, but I remember what spell is stored, and that's not right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So at this point, right, she kind of like downs the rest of her brandy, tosses a shard up on the countertop, and hops off the bar stool and says, "All right, let's get this thing done. Are you all ready?"
I'll follow you.
Let's get it.
Let's do it.
I am going to pop one of my mage armors from the Hasnaketa.
Awesome. So she will say, we'll head out into the street to get there. But before we head out, you know what? Not worry about it. I'll just go 2, and I'll give you directions when we get there. So she kind of like waves, and she starts to trundle out the door, right, and out into the street, and waits for you all to kind of file out after her. But as you guys come out onto the porch, you see she is standing at the bottom of the stairs, right? And she is kind of in this deadlock staring contest with another individual. And you see across the way, kind of across the alley entrance, leaning up against the outside of one of the buildings, is a human man, right? Dressed relatively sharp, but has this kind of like almost kind of poncho over him. Dark black, has this brimmed hat that covers part of his face, has a little slim pipe that he's puffing on. I don't remember if Bones ever interacted with him, but I know Ezrah did. This is Vincent trench, the private eye, from the tiger's eye, right?
This guy,
and
Tulip's bestie.
he and Kariya are just kind of like
nemesis.
glaring at each other, right? Just staring daggers back and forth at each other. Kariya even has like both hands and fists on her hips, right? And she's just kind of like glaring over at him, and Vincent just kind of like pulls the pipe out and kind of like tips the hat up, and he actually looks like with malice towards her, right?
Always. Hi, Vincent. How's it going?
He kind of sees you, Ezra, and he tips his hat to you, right? Says, "See, you're still slumming it around the alley, old Kariya."
Oh, you know each other.
And she kind of
I
like
look at Ashes. Is that a dig at us?
And she kind of does this little short bark, and she says, "Yeah, well, at least I'm not licking scraps. Should see yourself out of here, Vincent. And I don't just mean going home."
See yourself out
of life.
And they continue to like rear up at each other.
I said good day.
But Vincent kind of like casually, like he's doing it over dramatically, making a big show of like taking his time and yawning and turning away and walking down the alley towards the tiger's eye.
Every time we talk about Vincent, my mind palace just goes into like a sepia filter.
Yeah. And so Kariya kind of goes into this huff and steps forward, lets you all kind of come down off the porch after her. But as she turns, right, you can tell she is miffed, right? Clearly does not like Vincent at all. And then she kind of like looks at each of you and almost like realizing that there's a scenario going on. She says, "Is everybody ready?"
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Fine, let's get this done with. All right, all of you, come here, close.
I'm in a foul mood now.
All right.
And she...
Ezra stays as far away from Ashes as he can while abiding by close.
By close, so like the opposite side, right?
Yes.
Just
in case we're immediately in combat and he gets hit.
So she begins to...
Gotta be a werewolf first.
She begins to intone low under her breath. She said she makes no hand motions, right? You do not see her pull out any components or anything like that. She just begins to speak lowly, and then her eyes snap up, and everything around you blurs and then lurches, like you're suddenly like shooting through space and time at 1,000,000 miles an hour, right? There's this like the stretch of everything as it's kind of like going past you, and then almost as quickly as it started, it stops, and you are standing in a small stone room, bare stone walls, 2 candles, framing a little hallway, and there is a intricately carved circular series of runes on the floor beneath you, and Kariya is standing in the middle of them.
All right, cool. I did it. Sweet.
Well, that was interesting.
So
do I recognize what kind of magic that was?
All of you roll Constitution saves.
Oh, really?
Commence the puking.
Assuming that none of you have ever really gone through this type of thing. Wow. The good
We're
rolls.
unpukeable.
Here's the thing, right? I get you guys to roll these great rolls now so you don't have them later.
First roll of the night. We used up all of our RNG.
But
Let's
yeah,
just
so
have that be our only rolls tonight.
so
we
there's a
can
little
follow-
there's definitely a little bit of that like fog, right? That like that probably the best way to describe it for us or a similar way to describe it is kind of the feeling of vertigo or like motion sickness style scenario, right? You're not sick, you're not gonna vomit, right? But there's still a little bit of that
dizziness.
right? Ashes, it's a little rougher on you, right? You actually have this moment where you're like, but you're under no risk of it actually not being kept down. So Kariya kind of like looks at each of you and says,
Does Ezra recognize what that was?
roll me an Arcana check. You I don't think you've probably ever seen the spell cast before. But you've probably read enough about the theory of it and the concept that goes behind it, right? To notice or to understand that this was a teleportation.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool.
So Okura kind of looks up at you guys and kind of nods, says, "Not bad for first timers." All right, and she kind of points down the hall and she says, "You go down this hall, gonna hang left, gonna be in my living room. Don't touch anything. On the left..."
Not a problem.
Shield guardians in there.
Okay, if he has broken out of the lab and made it into the living room, I will hate everything because he's probably going to have trashed the place. But since I don't hear him down the hall, I'm going to assume that that is not the case.
Is there anything specifically that is going to hurt us in that room?
Nothing, well,
Aside from him, of course.
don't... As long as you don't go poking around in things you shouldn't be poking around in.
If he starts throwing things at
No. There's no worry about that.
Or shifting dressers on top of us, or...
You will have to try to find something bad. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of stuff in the lab he could throw at you that would be dangerous.
But not more so than the physical act of
But
it being
exactly.
thrown. Okay. Just want to make sure that we have understanding that there's not going to be something that's going to suck our souls out or
In the
nullify our arm or something.
you speak from experience.
I mean, I knew a guy
like
who
to keep
lost control of
monos.
his arm for a good week. So, yeah, I'd like to avoid that if possible.
She says, "I ain't got nothing like that. Look, in the living room,
Did happen.
on the
Perfect.
left is my kitchen. Ain't nothing in the kitchen that you need. Stay out of the kitchen.
But
On
what
the
if we're
far side, you run a tavern. You can go home and get your damn food. Don't be
Yeah,
eating
sorry.
mine. On the far side of the living room is a hall. To the left of that hall is my room. That room is shut and locked. You stay out of that room. There's no reason, no need for you to be in that room. The right side of the hall leads to the lab. That is also shut and locked. And she holds up, she reaches into her shirt and she holds up a key. Says, "This is the key to the lab."
So one more time. Down the hall,
To the
to
left.
the right is the lab.
Down this hall, and she points, to the left is the living room. The only other hall to the right is the lab.
So down, right, lab.
Yes. And don't
Left, right.
touch anything.
All right.
I'll
Sure.
be here when it's done. Come get me. Or if it proves too much for you boys, I'm running this way. I'll take us out of here. Which one
Okay.
of you wants the key?
I'll take the key.
The key over to you. This little brass key.
Okay.
He says, brass key,
Well,
brass key.
I think we're off.
All right.
We're off on the races.
You guys start heading down this hall.
Down the hall.
All right, so the
To the
hall
right.
it's not a very long hall, right? It's maybe about 20 or 30 feet. Relatively bare walls for the first portion of it. At the second half of it, there start to be basically like these little tapestries, but they don't depict anything. They're just wall rugs, right? To kind of like take off some of the chill. And this is kind of mirrored as you hook a left and into the living room area. Everything is like, there's not actual carpet, but there are rugs all over the place. And this living room area is actually quite big. Again, this whole place is built out of stone. The floor, the walls, the ceiling are all these rough, or not rough, but carved stone blocks. But this living area is decked out in rugs and furs. There are two plush kind of couches. One that is a little bit bigger, kind of meant for a more human-sized individual. And then all of the rest of the furniture is smaller, right? More meant for dwarves or halflings or gnomes. The more vertically challenged races, right? And immediately, like, going into this, there's almost kind of like this pathway leading straight from this hall to the opposite side, and then halfway through there's another pathway leading to the left, and you can see there's a kitchen, right? There's a doorway and a kitchen, countertops and things like that inside, with like a little table there. And assuming that you guys don't go poking around stuff, and you continue on your way, you walk across the living room, and then there is this other hall, and there's about 10 or 15 feet of hall, and then on your left there is a door, right? Thick wooden door, the first door that you have seen here so far. And this one is old Kariya's room. And then turning left, or turning right there, right? There's a hall that goes down about 20 feet or so. And then there's this other thick wooden, iron banded door.
I approach the door.
Okay.
Sounds like it looks like where we're going.
So
Sure.
I'm thinking maybe I do the whole roar thing and get on the other side of it. And as long as you guys are on the opposite side, there shouldn't be any incidents. Does that sound okay?
I think, based on what she mentioned about magic, it is highly likely that it has something that will either be an AoE or some sort of spread damage. So we probably want to spread out. Just as a note.
I call dibs on close range.
So kind of to describe the scenario that you guys are in,
No.
this whole place, this is clearly like this is a living space for Old Kariya, right? This hall is not like, it's not a big hallway. It's just a 5-foot hallway, right? So you guys are like single file down this hallway in the direction of the lab.
Ezrah is 15 feet behind the person that is in front of him.
Okay. So you're, if that is the case, Ezrah, you are basically...
I am still in the living room.
No, you're not still in the living room, but you are backed up against the doorway to Old Kariya's room.
Okay.
Oh, no, you said 15 feet behind the person in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then you're still in the living room.
Mm-hmm.
Actually.
Kariya. Wherefore thought that Kariya?
Okay.
Listen at the door.
So who is at the door? So again, right? It's a 5-foot hallway, so there's not really room for multiple people to be at the door at the same time.
Me.
So you're at the door?
I'm third. I'm directly next to Ezra, who I've forced to be fourth.
That is counterintuitive to what I said.
Nope. Otherwise, you are out of the house.
What? So Bones just stays directly on top of Ezra no matter how far back he goes?
If he goes back, I'm going. I can get there. I got like 100 feet of movement.
I don't think Ezra can outrun Bones. No.
Ezra would know better than
to try. Yeah.
He actively tries to spread himself out from the group. If Bones wants to be a bodyguard, Ezra will allow.
So Matashtai, you go and you listen at the door. Roll me a perception check.
I'm on it.
Mouse.
Boom, nailed it.
There we go. Those boss rolls.
Hey, Mouse.
You hear this.
Buzzing? Alright. I don't know what that means. So I'm gonna put the key in the door.
Oh well, I'm gonna Hulk out. I'm gonna get ready, and then I'm also going to light up or ride up.
Okay.
Nice.
So you put the key and you kind of look back and immediately Ashes just goes.
I'm gonna do it quietly, but it's not really.
It's not a quiet process. Yeah. No. Yeah. And then you blade out, right? Sheathes in thunder. Is that what your ride is?
Yes, it's
thunder?
Ride Up Storm.
So is that thunder or lightning?
That is thunder.
Okay. Thunder. Anyone else doing anything?
I'm pushing the door open.
Double daggers.
Door. Click.
And I rush forward.
Throws open, and as it is thrown open, there is a big ass metal man. And let me move you guys on over to the battle map, and let's pop on over to the battle map here. Oh, and we're immediately gonna start up some battle music and roll some initiative. All right,
ready.
Select your tokens and roll me that initiative.
I'm not ready.
Nice. Yeah, so this thing, right, is standing there, right, and you hear as you throw open the door, right, that bzzz, right, gets louder, right, because now there's not the barrier in between, and it's bzzz, basically, and this thing goes, and it is at the ready. So
What are you trying to trade with me? You ain't giving me shit, bro.
Our initiative.
Unless you need to. Oh. What'd you roll?
A lot.
21. Oh.
I'll trade.
Okie dokie. All right. Delete time pool out of there.
I was just gonna ask what the
Matashtai. So this thing immediately like. Bzz, what do you want to do? By the way, like you look around and this place is just trash. This is a caster, a wizard's laboratory, right? So there's this there are lines and lines. There are countertops lining the wall, all four walls, and there are beakers and shelves and tomes and plenty of different stuff. Most of which looks like it has been pummeled or smashed or ripped through. It looks like this thing has done just a fucking number on this whole place.
Alright, I rush forward.
Okay.
Pulling out Tamakiri as I go.
Mhm.
Then I'm gonna slash at one knee and then slash back over at the other one, the inside of its knees.
Have at it.
Oh, good gracious.
Okay, yeah, both will hit.
And then I don't know if it works on this dude, but I'm gonna try and stun him.
Okie dokie.
Doesn't Stunning Strike have something about constructs?
Nope.
Okay.
Not that I'm seeing.
Oh.
I couldn't remember if there's something in that. Okay.
Okie dokie. Stunning Strike. What's your DC?
7.
It's a 14.
7. Oh man, a 7.
That would be an unfortunate DC.
Bam! What are
That
you
would be-
doing with your life?
That'd be a negative mod. to your-
Okie dokie. Whoa! It
Wicked.
you not wicked. You're not gonna like it, but you hit and it kind of like reverberates through the metal, right? And it goes and it kind of like throws off the stun. So it will
Less wicked.
less wicked.
Then shift over here, and then I proceed to flurry of blows,
Okay,
and I just start kicking it a bunch.
punch the shit out of it.
Like Chun-Li's, like,
Yeah.
All right, the 13 will not hit, but the 20 definitely will.
Ha!
Okay.
juicy.
Cool. So you you rush upon this this metal man and proceed to start to beat the tar out of it, basically, right? And you connect with your stunning blow, right? It should have locked it down, but it has somehow resisted the effect. Legendary resistance. And anything else?
Legendary resistance. Hell of a protector.
That should be it. All right. Anything else for your turn?
No, I don't think so.
Okie dokie. Ezra is up, and Ezra hears this but sees none of it.
Yep. Oh boy.
Okay, so Ezra, you come up behind Bones, and you can see beyond Bones and Ashes, right? There's this large room, and you can't see Matashtai, but you can see inside this room is this large construct. Ooh, nice. Okay.
Try and blind him.
Sure.
Blind that man.
And so this is a Constitution saving throw. Ah!
That's
19.
Boy.
Okay. That is good because it only has one legendary resistance.
Damn it.
I'm gonna run in. Oh boy! Oh boy!
Yeah, like the whoosh, kind of like goes across, and then you realize it doesn't take effect, and you're like, oh! Run back down. Gotcha. All right, Ashes. You're up.
Ashes. It's going to 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Gonna lock in with Matashtai in a tactical position, and he's just gonna start laying into this son of a bitch.
Lay in.
Okay, yeah, that'll hit,
Claw him likenly.
and that will hit, and that actually will not hit. The 17 would normally hit, but it is at that point that the Shield Guardian uses its reaction and grants itself an additional 2 AC,
All right.
which is
Here's
not the
that.
way that ability normally works, but in this particular scenario, it is its own guardian.
I'm sorry.
Basically, the way I'm playing it as this construct that is fighting off the enchantment or has gone haywire, it's kind of working a little wonky compared to what it normally does. So normally a Shield Guardian has the ability to try to like jump in and take a hit for its wearer, or right its charge, right? And right now it's kind of on the fritz, so it consider
It's
itself
his own charge. He
its
dove
own
in front of
charge.
his own attack.
He dove in front of his own attack. Yeah.
In turn.
But you still hit for. Ooh, jeez, you guys are fucking putting the hurt down. Another 6, another 9, another 4. Right. So there's you guys jump in and begin to lay the smackdown on this thing. Anything else? Nope. Bones.
Enter.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You can do it, Bones. Get him. Poke him.
Was I able to get both my daggers out or not?
Yeah, you started with both your daggers out.
Oh yeah, I'm dagged out, bros.
Dag, dag.
Alright.
Daggity, daggity.
5. Is this a flank, Jeremy?
No, you gotta move over 1 to get flank.
Which way?
To the right. To the right, to the right.
Alright,
Yeah.
done.
That is a flank.
Sweet.
Like, you have
Hit
to
it.
be able to, like, draw a line through the center of the creature. Or directly opposites. Right?
Word. Alright then! Moving daggers! Dagger attacks. Pew pew!
Dagga dagga! 25 is a hit. 11 is not.
Neck attack!
Sneak attack!
That was-
Wait a second, you're not a snake! But that is a sneak attack!
Cat
Awesome!
attack. Hold on,
Okay,
hold
so
on,
yeah-
actually, hold on, just a second.
Oop.
Just a second. Hold on, Jeremy. Hold on. Hold on.
Okay.
Alright,
I
I'm
love
gonna roll
this.
this again.
I
but
love this song.
Continue taking the same damage. Are you ready? You're gonna enjoy this.
Tap taps. He does tap taps.
I mean, I'm fine with that. Okay. So Bones, you are able to close in, and Matastai's position allows you to kind of get this flanking maneuver, right?
Flanking maneuver.
And get up in and basically like stab at. So this thing, while it is mostly metal, there are portions of it that are connected by hinges and wood and stuff like that that kind of like control the probably the more mobile portions, right, of the mechanism itself.
Yeah,
So you're able to do some pretty real damage. And again, right, it's not like this thing is bleeding, but you're beating it into submission. Right? At the end of your turn,
my turn is over.
Before its turn, it is going to use its one and only legendary action.
Alright, well, so be it.
One for the whole fight, or one for this round?
One and only legendary action. And it is going to... No. I've been waiting for this. Oh, I've been waiting for this. It kind of like, it takes this moment, right? And it takes its fist and it pounds its fists together once, twice, right? And then it says, fired up and ready to serve. And then this fire kind of encompasses the entire thing's body as it puts fire shield on itself.
Oh, okay. I actually thought it was going to be a fireball, so that's...
No. So, then at the start of its turn, you begin to see some of the dents and rins that you have put in the surface of this creature slowly start to knit together, right? As if there is some enchantment that causes it to automatically repair itself. And then it is going to... It's... It's gonna turn and try to punch Matashtai.
I dare it to.
Okay. Here's the punch.
Punches me.
He punched!
Directly in my face.
So yeah, he turns and just like... Because, I mean, you're in this... I love the imagination
of Matt all like ducking around, slashing, punch. This thing goes boom.
Well, I also like it because you're over here in this corner, right? And there's just shit strewn about, like knocked over and smashed and everything like that. And you're over here like boxing, and it just kind of turns, and it's just suddenly you realize it's looming above you, and you're in this corner, and it basically just goes big fist, little corner, boom, right?
Strength
like I
versus
imagine
dex.
Matt just like holding his face, like, oh, fuck.
Oh god!
And then it.
I think you broke my nose, you son of a bitch!
And then it turns, and it brings the other fist to bear. I was gonna try to punch you again.
I fucking dare you! Do it twice, bitch!
Boom!
Ah! What the hell?
Oh my god, I love it. That's fucking hilarious. Okay. And that's the end of its turn. So back to the top of the round.
Blood streaming down Matt's face.
Just
like,
and it's like complete with like little pistons, right? It does the thing each time it punches.
Oh, I got one for this.
So what would you like to do?
Mitch, you're up.
Oh, it's my turn right
Yep,
away?
it is your turn, top of the round.
Come up.
Would I have an idea that this shield of flame would hurt the shit out of me when I stab him?
I mean, it is literally wreathed itself in fire. So I don't think it's a hard sell. If you're worried about it, roll me an intelligence check, but your DC's like an 8.
Alright, let's see if after getting punched in the face a couple times, I'm
I mean, maybe you're a little like woozy right now, and you're like, you know.
Did you say intelligence?
Yeah, intelligence. I mean, and this is a you thing. You don't have to do. Oh well. Matashtai's a little.
Oh fuck! Stab.
Discombobulated.
Oh god damn it!
Oh,
Oh,
God.
Jesus! That's actually probably good. Roll me a 1d20. Let's see if we confirm. You do confirm.
This shit sandwich is just delicious.
This is a wonderful, wonderful shit sandwich. So you stab at it, and you manage to like wedge the point of Tombakiri into one of its folds, and it doesn't like do this intentionally. It's just kind of like turning. And as it does, it like pinches down on the blade, and it just whoosh, full on like whips it out of your hand, and it kind of spins around, looking at bones and ashes. Right, so now your
that's mine.
Your spear is like on the other side of you now. Actually, technically, you would have had advantage for the yeah.
Yeah.
Suck it, nerd!
Let's rewind time.
I don't even know if I want to give you that. Fuck. Oh my goodness. Okay.
As he takes my spear, spins around, I grab it again, stab him in the throat.
Stab him in the throat. Roll your damage.
I fucking died of fire.
Yup. So you stab the ever-living...
As I'm doing this, I'm gonna try and stun this motherfucker.
Okay. Sure. By all means.
DC 14 Constitution saving throw.
It's stunned. It is stunned, but
then I die.
The flame still blossoms. So you stab it in the throat, and it's enough to like the jar is enough to just like discombobulate the shit out of this thing. But as that happens, flame blossoms off of the point and rolls down the spear, and you take 12 fire damage.
I fucking collapse.
It's just there's just this gout of flame, and Matashtai just goes down in a heap.
Oh shit.
But right now, like the whole thing is just like just like stunned, right? Ezra, you're up. You can hear the battle continuing in the other room.
Do I immediately
before my turn bound?
Do I immediately recognize that he's got flame shield about him?
Roll an Arcana check. Yes. Absolutely. You see not only like the telltale signs of like the fire wreathed in him, but there are actually these little motes that kind of space themselves around him. So there's kind of fire flickering, but there's also these little points where flame seems to be holding, and that's incredibly indicative of the spell Fire Shield. Basically, the fire is generated out of these points as kind of like a shielding.
How is the construct looking? Is he looking pretty banged up at this point?
It's incredibly hard to tell because it is a construct, right? You can tell kind of like what living creatures look like because they're flagging or they're bloodied, right? With constructs or the undead or things like that are so alien to you, basically you guys do not understand how to tell if this thing is bloodied or not. One of the limitations of fighting constructs.
Cool. Fuck. I can't really take advantage of him being stunned. Sucks.
Third.
Yep. I will go ahead and sling a bunch of magical orbs at him.
Cool. All right. Fire out the magic missiles. And yeah, that's pretty decent little magic missile.
No, that's a lot of ones. That was a third level.
Oh, okay. See, I was looking at the lower one, and that wasn't bad. A 3-4-2 is not bad, but then the upper one was pretty bad.
Para ones. Yep.
So not too bad. Okay. 16. Okay, so streak of missiles fly across the room or fly down the hall across the lab and detonate into the side, right? And he's kind of like up right now, and they all kind of like take him and kind of like slam his shoulder into the far wall, right? He's still up though.
And that is my turn.
Ashes.
Seeing what happened to Matt,
Uh-huh.
gonna make some calculations in his mind.
Calculado.
Maybe hitting him 3 times in a row might not be a great idea.
Maybe it'll kill him.
But this thing still needs to go down pretty quick.
I was gonna say, maybe it'll drop him.
So instead, Ash is gonna hold his hand up to the construct in a manner that you might have seen before, and he's going to cast his Blood Maledict of Curse of the Mart.
Okay.
Until next turn, all right damage is doubled.
Okay. Nice.
And it's gonna go in.
Get him.
Have at it.
Go in.
Get him.
And
24 will hit. So let's do these each of these individually, right?
12. That's 20 damage.
So okay. And immediately fire gouts back at you, and you take 10 fire damage.
well, I'm actually going to take 5 because I am a Zerial Tiefling.
Hey. Very nice. Resistance is coming in handy. Coming in hot.
Fuck.
Fun.
Right. And
What?
I will
I thought it was
swing
fine.
one more again.
One more again. Say what? That's a hit. Definitely a hit.
And come on, good right roll.
17 more damage. 37 damage in 1 turn. It's your boy Ashes.
And that's another 2 damage fire-wise. Alright. You are beating on this thing, but it is still up. At the end of your turn?
I am going to pirouette to the other side of this creature, so I don't smack the shit out of Bo until my next turn.
Gotcha. Fair enough. You smack the shit out of Matashtai's corpse.
I mean, all right. So I think that might be a little like, I don't think Ashes would know that. I don't think, but
I mean, I think that's actually probably a fallacy. I think that's probably one of the first things Order initiates would learn, is that part of their whole shtick of control is that in the heat of battle that they need to be aware of where their allies are, because you can lose control. I think that was that's probably one of the first major lessons that you would be caught.
All right. Well,
So I think you have every reason as a player and a character to try to avoid being near people when your lack of control could trigger. Absolutely.
cool. All right. That'll be in turn.
Okay, Bones, you're up.
Okay. Nobody. Did Ezra shout any kind of information about Fire Shield? I don't know what the fuck it does, but
You haven't.
You have watched it.
Yeah, you watched it
burn
twice.
flame on both your allies.
Yeah.
oh, I know it.
Basically, every time you hit with a melee attack, it seems to be gouting flame at you.
And
Did
my
it burn
magic
it?
missiles seem to not have that effect.
It didn't burn Ezra.
Correct.
No, it did not.
Okay. Wheel.
Wheel. So sleepy. So sleepy. So
I'm
sleepy.
not sleeping.
Oh, pets.
He's a sleepy. He's so sleepy.
Look at that. You don't do pets, you get pets.
Yeah, you don't tap me, and I will actually love you.
Damn. He says I'll actually love you.
He's in a sleepy state right now. He doesn't understand or care about anything other than the fact that I'm petting him right now.
Bonus action, disengage.
That doesn't make your words okay.
Yeah, it does.
One. Fucking
Bonus action, disengage.
Normal dagger. Normal. Pew.
Oh, you're throwing
21.
it? You're throwing a dagger?
Taps. I've been throwing.
You're throwing daggers?
I've thrown
think I've-
daggers before.
I don't think
He's
I've ever
range dagging
seen.
them.
I don't think you've ever seen you throw a dagger.
The Grix, the
I
Manticores.
don't think I've ever seen you throw a dagger.
What else did
I'm
I throw
not
daggers
gonna lie.
at?
I'm playing. So you throw the dagger and it hurtles across. You actually would have advantage. Wait, do you get advantage on stunned targets from range?
All melee attacks.
Only melee. Okay, gotcha.
No, all attacks.
All
Wait,
attacks.
So okay, I did not know it was stunned.
Yeah, it is
doesn't
stunned.
Stunned. Give me a crit, like an instant crit in melee.
No, that's paralyzed or incapacitated.
Incapacity.
Yeah, stunned. Stunned just means you have advantage, and they fail dex and strength saves and shit like that. I believe.
Stunned is not a it's not. That's not a condition. Stunned makes you something.
It is a condition. It just
Condition.
means
Yeah,
that
stunned.
It is a condition. I do get advantage. Attack rolls. Okay.
It is incapacitated. Can't move. Can only speak
Roll
falteringly.
again for my advantage. It didn't work.
Okay. So you fling a dagger out, right? At the point of impact, right? The dagger plunges in to the shield guardian. And at the point of impact, there is still this gout of flame, right? As though reaching out towards a target, but you are beyond melee range, so it does not connect with you. And the whole thing continues to, and then it just kind of stops and goes, and its arms, which were up, right, just kind of slump down to its side, and the whole thing begins to sizzle and steam off of it as the fire kind of dissipates, and it looks like the whole thing just kind of comes to a halt.
Woo! Taps.
Woo!
Taps.
Woo! Tap taps. Yeah. So it failed. It's done. It's
We did
dead. Matashtai, roll a death saving throw.
Let's loot its body.
No.
Matashtai, roll a death saving throw.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
There's no real
Death
reason. I just want to see if he gets a
saving
1.
I die.
He didn't
No.
get a 1.
I'm
You wouldn't
going
have died
to-
anyways, assuming that as soon as possible someone administers aid unto you.
Now, is that necessary healer's kit charge?
Hey,
At-
unto you.
Yeah, you would need
That
to
would
do something like
stabilize.
that. That would stabilize him, right?
which means
Is
he's still
anybody gonna
unconscious.
start dumping
Pour-
potions down his
Pour one
throat?
of his potions down his throat.
Give me one of your 1,000 potions.
No, use one of his.
Yeah,
boy,
motherfucker,
kitty
I'm
boy.
gonna use your goddamn potions rather than the staff of healing when that happens.
Fair.
I will.
Well, I'm sure
force
he would
you
use the staff of healing if they had the staff of healing.
Oh,
a
fair.
potion into Matt's
Okay.
gullet. I will make him. I'll force quaff the potion.
Right?
I forcibly quaff it.
There's a few moments pass, right?
Here.
As
There
this
you
is happening, as the steam is venting off of the shield guardian, right? As all of you kind of okay, we're fine.
I
It's
bounce back
fine.
up.
It's not moving. It's fine.
He's down.
Right?
He's down.
And then you hear, right, Ezra, you hear it first, but everyone can hear it because she's loud enough. You hear from the southern hall past the living room, right? You hear Kariya go, "Is it done? Are you
Yes,
dead?
ma'am.
Oh,
That's
you're
pretty
not
quick
dead."
that she recognized it was done.
Well, I mean, the sounds of
sounds
battle
like
probably-
ching chang. Psh, psh, psh. Is it done? Right? I mean, all of that sudden sound of stuff just stops. So she immediately kind of just pipes up. Is there anything you guys want to do?
I wish to not fuck with anything in her house like she asked.
I also would like to not fuck with anything.
You guys
in
could
her house.
totally, you could totally fuck with some stuff in her house.
I'd like to limp out, bloodied, beaten.
Yeah.
Face a mangled mess.
You gotta bleed her there.
Ezra would prestidigitate his face a little bit.
I imagine that actually probably hurts, because you're like cleaning away the things like the
like
blood that's coagulating. I don't imagine it's like sandpaper
like that,
right? But like it's
just
like
a magical disappearing act,
you know. But suddenly that's gone, so now there's like open air touching the wound, you know. So, anyways, so Matashtai limps out and begins to be cleaned up. Kariya comes walking down, and she kind of like she shoulders past you, Matashtai, right? And just kind of like rushes, like sees the shield guardian, and kind of rushes in, shoulders past you, and just runs up to the thing. It's just, oh, Betsy, oh, they did a number on you.
That's what really.
Pets.
Give him pets.
Pets. And I think that's probably where we'll go ahead and don't get my microphone, you butthole.
Pets.
No.
All
your
the
face on other stuff, not my microphone. I think that's probably where we'll go ahead and end tonight's session. So the next time we'll resolve like the final details of like you guys buying the Staff of Healing, and then we can get back into the dungeon and everything like that.
Look at him resisting the claw.
Butthole.
Taps.
No tap. No claws. Bad boy. Bad boy. So before we leave, we want to make sure that we get our experience. You guys definitely need that experience.
Calculator.
I had this already calculated, but it's just faster to. Yeah. Okay. I was right. Okay. So you guys each get 725 experience for the Shield Guardian.
Nice.
Alright, we just need to do odd jobs, guys. 325 experience worth of odd jobs.
On occasion, yeah.
Speak for yourself.
Or you could just go down into the dungeon tomorrow and I don't know. Maybe you guys could clear up the dungeon or clear up level 1, level. And then the next day is a holiday, and it's the resetting of the magic shops. It'd be like Christmas.
I do like Christmas.
It's like Christmas.
It's like Christmas. You guys get a level, you get access to a new level, you get access to new magic items. You just gotta not die.
Oh, is that it?
You guys have done a stellar job of that so far.
Same, not die.
Alright. So I'm gonna go ahead and close things out here for the night.
Bye, guys.
I had fun.
Bye.
We'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.